Things have been a little rough for Jeremy Pruitt and the boys, but if you look to last Saturday, things may be looking up a little bit. Mississippi State was the victim, 20-10, as the Vols laid on the defense and got themselves an SEC win. We got Bobby Miller on the line from Volunteer Roadshow to help us break down Tennessee with a bit of a challenge coming up tomorrow at Alabama. Bobby, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing real good. How about you, Mark?
I am doing just fine. Bobby joins us from the road, and you can catch him on his show, Volunteer Road Show. And before we dive into the Vols, Bobby, want to let everyone know where they can find you.
Well, the best place is volunteerroadshow.com. Me and VFL, Billy Ratliff, are trying to put on the best show we can for you guys. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, Mark. We're there.
Good stuff. Bobby, also want to set everyone up. I've got the banner right here that I show just about every time I jump on in regards to what people can find there at BetNow.eu. I've got the link down in my description section, and I provide my college football predictions. But BetNow.eu in partnership with yourself, and you've been kind enough to ask me and some other YouTubers to help spread the word, and the hashtag there is Sam Strong. So if you can give us a little background on this effort.
Well, the impetus for this was my son, Sam, was diagnosed with leukemia back in January, and he's doing really well. And I just wanted to find a way to give back to those families and those organizations that are trying to find a cure, and the families that are actually having to deal with it, because it's a tough thing to go through. But thankfully, the advancements in the medical field with leukemia and all cancers has just been fantastic, and the survivability rate has gone from 5% in the mid 60s when Danny Thomas started St. Jude to 95%, and it's really to those organizations and individuals that have given to St. Jude's and other organizations, and that's why we do what we do. And I'm proud that we've got people like you, Pigskin Pete, and other people trying to raise some money with our betting acumen.
So again, folks, we've got the link down in the description section of all my videos. BetNow.eu. You can see the banner right there on the screen, and you get money added to your account. So you start in front of the chains when whatever you supply your account with, they're going to double your money, and the link is below. Just use the promo code MRTVCFB, MRTVCFB. Bobby, who's going to play quarterback for you this week?
I don't know. I heard it was a game time decision, and me and my partner, Billy Ratliff, did a show last night about this, and he's really on board. With a game like Alabama, you need some experience under center, and he thinks that Garantano gives us the best chance, but there's also the faction that wants to see this freshman Maurer do his deal, because he's done well when he came in for Garantano. He got his bell rung against Georgia, got hit a few times against Mississippi State, and surprisingly, it seems like it's a little bit different Garantano that's come in substitution for him in the Georgia-Mississippi State game. So, but Mark, I mean, there's no secret. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say Alabama's going to be bringing it. They're going to be getting to the quarterback, and Garantano, since he's been on the hill, since he's been on Rocky Top, has been taking a beating. And we've got to probably go into that three-step drop, get rid of that ball fast, because those boys in that Crimson Tide are going to be bringing it.
Absolutely, to the tune of, when we speak betting, since that was the original theme here, to the tune of about 34 to 35 point spread. Garantano comes in at 64%, 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. Maurer, 2 TDs and 4 picks in relief, but that they had turned to him before he got hurt against Mississippi State. And Garantano, as you mentioned, came in, looked sharp, and they rode home to a 20-10 win. So what did you see last week? It's pretty obvious to see that the defense stood up and played well last week against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Mark, this is how I thought our boys were going to come out at the start of the season playing. Um, Similar to the way we played the first half against Georgia. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to do it. But I think it's just coming down to experience. Our offensive line and defensive line are starting to gel the later we get into the season. I think that's basically what it boils down to. We're getting more experience. We're not too banged up in those positions. So I think that's really is what's catapulting us into playing well is those trenches, that front line.
So, Bobby, this week against Alabama, for me, unless you shock the world, and I'm not even talking about pulling off a win, but if you stay close in this game, unless you do that, that will obviously show all sorts of signs of progress. But let's say it's a typical 45-10 type of game that we all expect, and that just about everyone in the SEC outside of LSU and Auburn and a few other teams would probably, post against the Crimson Tide. It's those games that are coming up against the likes of the mid-tier SEC Eastern Division teams, the Missouris, the Kentuckys, the South Carolinas, that I'm going to be intrigued to see now that you put this performance down against Mississippi State in a 10-point win at home. That really is the measuring stick for me in terms of your progress this season. How do you fare against those teams that are mid-level SEC teams, probably top 40 to 45 teams in the nation?
Well, one of the things that's difficult to analyze, and now that Volunteer Roadshow has press credentials of the game, I'm trying to be more of a member of the press, but it's hard to separate your fandom from being a member of the press, if you want to call it that. But to touch on your Alabama game, that 34.5, 35 points, I really think we'll cover that. That's a lot of points, and I think we're playing better. But these mid-tier teams, we're trying to get into that classification. I'm worried about Missouri, South Carolina. Those are probably our two biggest games that we have. And if we can get a pass rush, get to the quarterback, and we can start running the ball. We haven't. And again, it goes back to the boys up front. We've got the talent to run. I mean, we got Ty Chandler, Tim Jordan, Eric Gray. We've got some talent back there. It's just we just can't create the holes, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. I really think we can be competitive against the Missouri, South Carolinas, and I think we can win the rest. I really do. Vanderbilt's down. We're going to get Vanderbilt this year. That's just all there is to it. Kentucky, they're not what they were last year. We got UAB, so we've got some winnable games. You would ask me two weeks ago, I'd have been shocked if we won one or two more games before the end of the season. But I really think 3, maybe 4 more wins is doable. That's just the fan in me speaking, but I'm trying to be realistic.
Yeah, that level program that we talked about with those teams in the SEC East in the game you're just coming off of, which is a great sign against Mississippi State, winning by 10 points at home against the Bulldogs. That's what I would consider to be a good measuring stick for this program in regards to progress. And you mentioned the offensive line, Bobby, and especially in this conference, but really in any level of football, that is the toughest one to assemble and get right. Their job is maybe the toughest on the field, especially again in that conference with the speed coming off the edge against anybody you play. To get 5 bodies out there that can work together, they've got to work together unlike any other unit on either side of the ball, and that's really a tough one to get right. But that offensive line, if you get that right here in the next year, that's going to pay huge dividends.
Yeah, and we're starting to recruit well. We've got 2 5-stars on the line this year, and Wanya Morris and Darnell Wright, and we've got some guys that we're really going after that I think recruiting, and that's where Alabama and your Georgia, especially Georgia, man, they've got some monsters on that offensive line, and they've just recruited. It's hard to you miss less on those 5-stars. You get enough of those, you're going to strike gold a lot more often than you are 3 and 4 stars. And it's just going to come down to recruiting. And unfortunately, our success this year may affect our recruiting, but I just hope that we can still recruit well. It just comes down to recruiting. We've got to get some boys in there. I'm confident on our coaching staff. We can coach these boys up, but if we can get some big bodies, I'm talking about some nasty offensive linemen. It's been a long time since we've had the likes of Cozy Coleman and those guys that could really get nasty with you, maul you, take a little bit longer getting up off of you when, in the piles on the ground, those types of things. But yeah, it always comes down to the trenches, especially in the SEC. But like you said, in any form of football, I don't care if it's Pee Wee, high school, or the NFL, it's on the line.
So it's Tennessee at Alabama, one of the great rivalries in college football. For some of you under the age of, let's say, 25 or 30, you probably don't realize that, but historically, one of the great rivalries in the SEC and across the nation is the VOLS. And again, you might be surprised by this when you look at wins, winning percentage, championships in the SEC, number 2 across the board to Alabama all time. In a bit of a dry spell, and it's been a long time coming. Bobby Miller on the line from Volunteer Roadshow. I encourage you to go over there and check out his podcast and his social media on any of the major platforms, talking Tennessee football. And again, we've got the banner up there, BetNow.eu. You can grab the link in the description section below next to the hashtag Sam Strong on any of the videos. Grab that link and you get 100% added to your account to help out the cause, Sam Strong. Bobby, we're talking about your favorite team next, so unfortunately I got to move on, but we're talking your second favorite team, the Florida Gators. So,
well, Florida, they hung with LSU for 2 or 3 quarters, but I think they're a team on the rise. They're a big rivalry. I think Dan Mullen. How about that Trask kid at quarterback? How he wasn't starting at the beginning of the season, I don't know why, because I think he's definitely an upgrade over Felipe Franks.
Sure looks like it. The kid makes the right decisions. He can throw it. He throws it on time. He's accurate. He looks like the real deal. He's impressed me as well and stood up against a pass rush, and he can move around a little bit. All right, Bobby, we will let you go. I appreciate you stopping by, and safe travels.
All right. Always a pleasure, Mark. Thank you.